All right, welcome to Surviving Mars in 2023. This is an excellent game, and we're going to take you on a journey through it, tutorial-based journey, so that you all could see Surviving Mars. There's been a lot of updates since some of the videos you've seen online. Some of the past tutorials are a little older, so let's try to update those. This game's outstanding. If you like Paradox, like City Skylines, Surviving Mars, of course, then you're really going to enjoy this style of play where you build a colony, and it's really interesting. So we're going to actually go ahead and jump in it. There's different modes to play. We're going to start a new game and kind of go from scratch. We have tutorial mode, we have new game, you can load games. There's challenge mode where there's predetermined sites and situations and you have to go through them. And then there's the creative mode where you can create a colony, imagine it, test how it works without worrying about survival threats and things like that. But part of the game is also to go through those issues and try to gain, success with, some of the setbacks and things like that. We're going to go ahead and start a new game. Hopefully, you'll gain some tips from this. Make sure you watch all kinds of videos. There's a lot of great tutorial videos out there. So, pick and choose, grab a little bit from everything. This is our mission setup. You get mission sponsors, you have commander profile, you have a logo to pick from, you have random mysteries or mystery that you can pick, and you have some game rules that you can pick through as well. We are going to do some of our mission setup together so that you can see it. We'll come back and name our colony, but we're going to go ahead and pick our sponsor first. And the sponsors work different ways. Like, for example, here they start it very easy. The International Mars mission gives you a ton of money, rockets, and a lot of cool tools. And then you go all the way down to Russia, which is the hardest, less funding, less tools and bonus techs and things like that you can choose from. In the middle here, we have some of the normal ones. That's what we're going to start with. We're going to pick some of these normal ones. The three normal ones are going to be India, Europe, and Space Y. Starts to get harder, Church of the New Ark, Russia. And then the easier ones, Blue Sun, USA, International Mars, and China. So I'm not going to go with India. It gives us a little more funding. It's still good, but it gives us a little more funding. I'm probably going to choose between Europe and Space Y. Space X, Space Y, I guess they can't use SpaceX, so it makes sense. Some of the major differences between these two, it looks like the funding's the same. Starting applicants is 75 here on Space Y, and Europe starts at 100. It looks like they give us 400 research per soul versus 200 research per soul, and rare metals are at 22 versus 20. I'm going to go ahead and go with Europe. We're going to pick Europe as our mission sponsor. Commander profile is different profiles you can choose to lead your colony. For example, here, city mayor. Some of the attributes is 2 billion. They say 2,000 million there, but I think it comes across like billion. Additional starting funding. Building require upkeep is less, and you get the Mars Nouveau building cost metal concrete are reduced. You have the inventor. Drones gradually optimize, and then you have autonomous hubs, they no longer require power. I think that's very valuable. Oligarch, fuel production's increased. Then you get archaeology. It's a cool spire. Hydro engineer has to do with water, so you get the water reclaim. Domes consume less water. Doctor. You get STEM reconstruction, colonist lifespans increased. Psychologist, behavioral shaping, politicians, Martian patents, funding gains are increased. Futurist has autonomous sensors, no longer require power, but sometimes that's a feature in there. So I don't know how good that one's going to be for us. Ecologist, hanging gardens is Aspire. Astrologist, rare metals deposits revealed. We have bonus tech, deep scanning. Rocket starts with an extra rocket plus the CO2 jet propulsion. The shuttle hubs, which are extremely valuable. And then you get a random one. It looks like I'm going to start with inventor. I'm just going to picked inventor for this game because I like the autonomous hubs. That's a big part of, not worrying about drawing power to your hub. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. Colony logo, again, this doesn't affect the game, so it's whichever you like. There's going to be a lot of different ones for you to choose from, so you can, pick and choose however you like. We did choose Europe, but it doesn't mean that we have to go with Europe. Let's see. I love rockets, so I'm going to pick one of these rocket ones. Mars Express, the Voyager. I like Final Countdown. That one looks cool, so we're going to choose that. Mystery, I'm going to do random. Some of these that are lit up here with the check marks are ones that I've done before. So let's see if I can unclick them. Will they let me unclick them? No. Alright, anyway, we'll get something that we haven't had. And we'll see if it's hard or normal or easy. So we'll see, what goes on when that comes up. Game rules is where you can add tools to help make it less difficult or more difficult. You can prefab colonies, easy maintenance, these things. So we're not going to pick, things to make it too easy, but I will pick tech variety. If you notice, the difficulty challenge right now is, let's see, it's 260. It says dredger's normal. I'm going to pick random. Okay, random. So it's at difficulties at 220. Game rules, whatever we pick will change it. So for example, rebel yell, colonists become renegades. I'd stay away from that if you're new. Overfunded, obviously that's a lot of money that you may not need. It's going to change it. Fast scanning. One thing that I know is kind of valuable here that I like is the tech fields are randomized during different playthroughs on the same map. If you choose the same map or anything like that, unlike with chaos theory, some technologies are guaranteed they appear early or late. I'm going to go ahead and just do a tech variety. And sometimes it doesn't change anything, something like that, because I'm not helping or hurting the game, but I'm just want a variety of the text so they don't come in the same order. And everything else I'll leave. So we're going to go ahead and go back. Alright, game rules. We'll keep it. Difficulty is going to be around 220. So we have our tech variety there. We have our mission sponsor. We have our funding. We have our starting rockets, our applicants, our research per soul. And we'll explain all of these things and how they, affect your game. We're not going to keep the name Our Colony. Let's go ahead and pick a name. Oasis of Mars. Let's do it. Oasis of Mars, and we can go ahead and move on to the next step. Looks like the next step is going to be rocket payload, what we want to bring for our first rocket there. All of these will get explained as we use them. I'll start with prefab here. So prefabricated items that you can bring to Mars, and they're much easier to set up and they don't take resources. I'm definitely going to bring a drone hub, fuel refinery, a moisture evaporator. Stirling generator costs 400 million. I'm not going to do that. I can create my own power with solar and then have batteries and then have wind turbines when we use get some concrete. Stirling generator is great because it'll give you automatic power right away, but I don't want to spend that 400 million. I can use it somewhere else. We're going to bring the RC Explorer. Could use it right here actually in the next rocket on a transport. RC Explorer is going to go and check on anomalies. Safari's cool for tourists. When you have tourists, the transport's great. It's going to go get resources that are outside of the drone's capacity. The RC Commander is a controlled vehicle. It's like a drone hub that's mobile, and all this stuff will come later into play. Drones, yeah, we're going to start. We'll go 6 drones. Should be a good start, especially with our drone hub. I don't remember how many it starts with. Metals, concrete, food we don't need. Metals and concrete we'll figure out on Mars. Polymers for sure. I'm always going to need more of these. And this is probably something good we could start with. Electronics, machine parts, polymers, they're like your main resources. Of course, food is great because when you have colonists, you're going to need that. And here's our rocket. You can name it anything you want. I'm okay with whatever auto names it gives right now. Cargo capacities 50k out of 50 kg. We can up this through research later. Yeah, so far so good. Orbital probes allow us to reveal deposits faster, and this is going to be good for us in case we don't want to start at the exact place that they give us. Alright, we'll move on to the next part, which is picking where we want to land. So obviously Mars is huge. Wherever you want to land, if I want to land right here, it gives me the threats and resources. They have predetermined landing sites also, like this one right here. It shows you the threats, it shows you the resources. If I click this one, it changes, right? More meteors, less metals, things like that. If I also can click manual places around it, like see how I'm clicking and dragging like this to try to find something maybe interesting that's not near you know, the predetermined places, and maybe it'll be cool. So I'm going to kind of explore and see what we got going on over here and see if there's any. Oh, I found something here with no threats but less metals, less concrete. So I'm just kind of exploring like this. And we'll see. So this area looks good. Don't want to pick one of these prefab ones, meteors. That's interesting. Interesting here. Water. These two look the same. Difference is relatively flat. Relatively flat is good. Steep. Relatively flat. Relatively flat. Alright, I want somewhere relatively flat. 1 north, 171 east. And we'll go ahead. Now this changed our difficulty up a little bit, but it is what it is. And let's go ahead and figure out and find out what we got going on here. Because remember, the point of this is for us to learn and grow and learn how to play the game. It's been updated and modified, you know, a bunch already. So let's see if it's got some value in 2023. Welcome to Mars. You're going to get these pop-ups as we go. Welcome to Mars. Every mission controls, you know, everyone at mission controls impatient. They want to see the rocket touch down. They want to see a lot of cool stuff happen. So do we. So it tells us our mission sponsor, Europe, and our commander profile, which is the inventor. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to pause it right away, which I highly recommend you do the same thing, because time is in souls, which are like days. So the more souls that pass by, you know, it's just time passing by. We're not playing on challenge mode or anything, so we don't have restrictions as to, you know, how long things happen. And I think that's the way you should play early, so that you're not concerned about rushing to do stuff. I think you should focus more on, you know, how you want to play the game, which is there's no wrong way. So if you want to run through stuff and build colonies right away, you can. If you want to set up your resources in your area first, you can. So there'll be these pop-ups that'll come up and they kind of show you how to play, but I'll walk you through it as well. We'll start at the top here, this top bar. From left to right, this is showing you your funding. Next is showing us our research, showing us our electricity, life support, oxygen, water, metals, concrete, food, rare metals. It's how you make money. You can export these and you get paid. Polymers, machine parts, fuel, and electricity. We're going to have some of this waste rock, which is produced by some of the production materials, resource makers that we're going to talk about. Prefabs when you have them, drones, colonists, tourists later on, living space available if there's anybody homeless, jobs available if there's anybody jobless. Then on the left hand side here, you'll also be getting excuse me, you'll also be getting updates and alerts about what's happening. And as you can see there, we have a new anomaly. I have no active research going on. I need to explore a sector. I have a milestone achieved, research a breakthrough, which is probably done automatically because they gave me a breakthrough. And then you'll notice it says sector D1 scanned, which was probably scan one sector. Then the bottom here, this menu, you have a build menu, you have your map overview, you have your resupply, you have your research, you have your command center, milestones, mission profile, and planetary view. And we will go through all of these as we play. Okay, so here the rocket's flashing because it wants us to land with our first payload. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take these orbital probes, because we have 3 of them, and I want to unlock some areas. You don't have to start where they start. Like, I could start clicking anywhere and unlock, but since they unlocked this one, and I noticed we have concrete and rare materials, I think this is good. I think this is a great spot already. So I'm going to click here, and we have more concrete and water. That is good stuff. I'll click here. Okay, so we have like a comfort zone, a vista they call it, some more concrete, and I have one more probe, and I'll unlock this. This one didn't give us anything. That's not a big deal. That's going to happen pretty often, so you want to feel comfortable with that. It's annoying when you waste a probe on it, but things are going to happen like that, and we're just going to have to get used to it. Next, before I land the vehicle, it says I have no active research and exploration. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the research. And you have these research queue where you get to pick which researches you want to use. These are very, very valuable to everybody's game. I see one right here that's the most important right now. Rockets and shuttle require less fuels. I'm going to click that first, even though this one has 77% of it already done. This is so important. This is going to take our fuel, what's required for rockets and shuttles, down to like a reasonable area. Robotics drone hubs are constructed with 2 additional. I think that's pretty good. I'll throw that in there. Probes are cheaper and can deep scan. Yep, that's good. You know what? One-time grant of $1 million. Sure, let's go ahead and do that. I got a moisturizer, vaporator upgrade, which is good. Rocket cargo space is increased. The RC transport harvest faster. I don't have one yet, but that's going to be valuable. Wind turbine upgrade, and we see here science and botanist. We'll unlock this whole list as we go, and it's just part of the process. So they gave us drone hubs no longer require maintenance, because that's part of our inventor, and this is huge, and I'm going to show you what that means in a second. But I do like to fill up the queue, because as research goes, if you're busy doing other stuff, it moves on to the next one. And in the future, when you go on like expeditions and things like that, they'll give you a huge chunk of research, and if you don't have other ones lined up, potentially you're wasting research. So I highly recommend you keep this list busy. And you can outsource, right, to give it a little more, which I'm actually going to do right away. It's 200 million here, and I just want 1,000 research over the next 5 days. And you'll see outsourcing now changed to 200 for the next 5 days, and then 600. Obviously, you want to be careful spending your money, but I'm okay right now investing in that, because I'm going to unlock things that will help us be successful. Plus, you see this like money sign thing there for rare materials. That makes it a massive, massive help for us, because once we get a dome, we can actually start making money by exporting rare materials. All right, exploration. Next, we have to pick a sector to scan, because we're going to be scanning all of these sectors normally. So since I have these here, we can continue to go this way or continue to go this way. I definitely want to spread out towards the right. So I'm going to do something like this for now. And you have about 9 slots. We'll go ahead and do that for now. When you hover over a place like this here, it'll say buildable area 68%, buildable area 66%, buildable area 100. If I zoom in on this tile, this whole area here is buildable, as opposed to this, which says 14%. If I click on this and I zoom in, you cannot build here without doing some like heavy duty changing, the terraforming, for lack of a better word, I guess, in this. And we don't have the additions for this game. I'm playing vanilla, and later in this series, way later down in the line, I'll add, you know, the Martian Express and maybe some of the terraforming stuff if anybody's interested. Alright, so now we have some research going. I'm still paused, so it's not going to do too much. And then milestone achieved, I found water on Mars. If I click on it, it's going to give us the list of milestones. Scan an anomaly, launch a rocket from Mars, find water, we did that, construct a dome, and so on. We're going to go ahead and knock these out over time. Some of them are really easy, some of them are hard, and that's just like most games, you know, you figure it out. We're going to go ahead and pick a spot where we want to land. Interesting. So you see these things here, right here, these are metal deposits, surface deposits. Our drones can access them, as well as the transport once we get that. Where are we going to land this thing? So I do want to work this area eventually. So if I bring this guy. So when you click on the rocket, you know, you're going to pick a landing site. I'll close this out. And it gives you this like area that it covers. Okay. Now that I have that, it'll show you where my drones will work. Okay. Before you know, the rocket has a certain limit to how far the drones can go, and so do drone hubs. So we want to be aware of that when you pick landing sites, as well as when you set up drones. So I think this, for now, because I have some concrete, I have this area, I think I'm just going to land this thing here, start the process. Yeah. You know what? Okay, we have lots of stuff going on, so we'll go ahead and watch our rocket come down. Welcome to Mars. Now the tutorial is showing us that WSAD, tilt, rotate, you know, control. It takes a second to get used to the movement here. You know, as you start to do, you know, A, S, D, W, Q, E. So it'll take you a little bit to get used to it, but it's awesome once you get rolling. I'm going to pause it again. And again, it's just to explain more than I'm worried about time passing, but I do want to show you, you know, how cool this looks, as well as, you know, what we should do with certain things. So I'm going to actually zoom back out a little bit so we could see what's going on. Click on the rocket and it shows you the area that it's going to cover. I'm not as concerned about what the rocket's going to do because we brought a drone hub. So I'm going to go and click on that drone hub here in our build menu, and it's going to be under infrastructure. And we will go through all these as they come into play. Here's a drone hub. So it has a certain range. So we have to pick, we have to make good choices here and pick a position that will give us, you know, good value. And you know, I don't want to go too low because then I don't get this water up here. Don't be concerned about these things right here. Those will go away. When you set down drones, be concerned about things like resources, which this is right here, rare metals deposit, water, which is huge. So when you put down your drone, make sure that you're, especially in the early game, you're covering a good amount of resources in areas that make sense. So I got the water in there. I got concrete, and and it doesn't have to be perfect, so that's why like you see me moving it around, like I just have to be close like to that line, and it will take care of those areas, and you'll see as I move around later, um, what we can do with these areas. Okay, so I have water up there. I want to go higher. I want to keep these two in there. Keep that there. Just within the drum, and I think I like this spot. And you'll notice, it's just me. You can do it any way you want, but you should spend a little bit of time figuring out, things like this and the areas that you want to set up. That's why I pause it. So you can do it any way you want, though. If you just want to fly and click, 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 and go, you can do that too. I recommend do multiple saves and things like that. But let's see, I drop a little bit, put it back up, still grab water. That resource thing, I will put the extractor closer to the circle, and that's my spot. So that's where I'm dropping my drone hub. And if I come back up to prefabs, I have a fuel refinery, moisture vaporator that I will worry about later. So these drones, once I hit play, they're going to start to get to work. And the first thing they realize that they're going to work on is this. And then what I'm going to do is start laying down storages. And what storages do is they allow places for the drones to put things. So for example, that's metals. These are metals. They're going to start breaking down metals into it. Concrete, we're going to have concrete extractor right here. You can use these universal depots. It stores 30 units of each item. So it's a personal preference. You might love those. I personally don't. I like everything separate. So I kind of start with separated items, especially like my home base like this is like my first home base. I'm probably going to be here for a while working on things, so I am going to do storages separate. Storages are located in I'll show you in a second here, build menu and storages, and what I'm using is a depot. We have these dumping sites and large dumping sites which are going to come into play soon. And then I want to show you what a universal depot looks like. So if I just drop it down here, it's bigger, but when you click on it, it stores all these things, but it only stores 30 of each. And that'll be tough later when you want, you unload a rocket and you have 50 polymers and 50 machine parts. Like, it won't unload the rocket, it'll keep them on the rocket. So you want to be aware of that, especially when you're setting up an area that's going to be pretty busy for a while. And what's cool here now is I'm going to show you how to remove something. So I'm going to destroy this building here, and it's not really a building, but I don't even have the destroy protocol on, but we'll see if, okay, it works with storages. That's good. There's something called a destroy protocol, like if we set up a building or an extractor or something like that, it will require you to we can let it play because it's unloading the vehicle. So you see here my metals, concrete, food, that's I'm going to make here. Advanced resources, polymers, electronics, machine parts, it's unloading them here. Okay, I have 6 drones attached to it. I'm going to highlight these and then I'm going to assign them to the commander. I'm going to click, I still have 2 more, and it places these little 2 dots. So I'm going to click and drag over them and then right click to assign them. I'd rather the drone hub run everything, and it's because of the area that I'm more concerned about. Even though this has a larger area, I could always connect drones to it if I wanted to extend my area, but right now I'm not concerned really about extending the area. I want to get this area going, and this will be important. I'm going to click next on my explorer and we're going to start exploring. I want to scan this anomaly. I'm going to hold shift down and I'm going to click on this one, and it's going to queue up the task. Okay, so that way it'll do multiple. If I zoom out, it's going to do this one first, and then it's going to go ahead and go to this one next. There's a lot going on, so don't forget to pause and track back on the videos if you need. You can email me directly or put things in the comments that you want to learn and talk about, but just be advised, be aware that there's going to be multiple tutorials, so that I may cover what you need in there. So just, reach out though, it doesn't hurt. Okay, next, I'm just going to pause it to also talk and think. I need to set up the fuel refinery and the moisture vaporator, but I'm going to think about where I'm going to set up, which one of these concrete things do I want to use first. So this one, when I click on it, concrete deposit, it's got 1500, around 1500, 1518, it says grade average. This one has 745 and the grade average is high. So the grade basically means that, how fast it will produce concrete. So even though this one's bigger, I'm actually going to take this one first because of how fast it will work. And now I'm going to click on the build menu and I'm going to go to production and click on the concrete extractor. Now if you notice, it says require a deposit. So I have this here, it says require deposit. When I go over a deposit, it's fine. No cable connection, but it turns a different color. Red, white, red, white. So just be aware of that. You want to set up your, your extractors, and you don't even have to be perfectly over it, right? So watch. So I'm here, requires a deposit. It thinks that's close enough to the deposit, right? So just be aware of that. When you're setting up, you don't have to stress over how close you are to the deposit. The other thing that you want to think about is the range. You see like this circle around it, the range of how things around it may get dusty or messed up. So I'm going to click on it, put it down, and I click on it again. So it has this radius, right? This radius right here with the blue and this thing going around it here shows you where the device will work. So it's going to eat up this area here, but this whole wide area here could be affected by like dust, stuff like that. So if you have other stuff close to it, it may get dusty. If things get dusty, it may require maintenance. It will require maintenance. All right, opening the build menu, the shortcut is B or the right click. So I can do B, opens the menu, I can right click, opens the menu. This does require power, so now we have to start thinking about that process. And I'm going to hit C is a shortcut for cables. Okay. The other way to get cables will be power. So, you're going to go to your build menu, you're going to go to the power, and you're going to go to power cables. That's one way to do it, but the shortcut is C. And, you want to connect. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to connect. I'm going to create, I want to head out this way. Yes, I want to head out this way. So I'm going to click here and it's going to have a cable there. And then what I'm going to do is I like to know my boundaries. So I'm going to use power cables to kind of help lead me to where the boundaries are. So now I know that that's my boundary. Even when it's not clicked, that's going to show me my boundary. Got my water here. Cool. Alright. Just checking out the area. So now the drones will start building. They're going to grab the metals that they have, and this requires metals. This right here requires machine parts and metals. So once they start building this concrete extractor, we're good. What we do need to do is start to get power for it. So I'm going to set up some solar panels out here. Each one of these produces 5, 10, 15, 20. Each one produces 5. I am going to set up some wind turbines soon, but I don't want to do that yet until I get concrete. Now I have to think about this water situation here. I'm going to go to our build menu. I'm going to go to production, and you notice we don't have anything for water in here. But if I go to life support, because water is considered life support, it gives me the water extractor. Same thing, it's looking for a deposit. As soon as you come over a deposit, it lets us, use it. Now you just have to figure out like which way you want it. So if I do it this way, the pipes are facing like this big rock here, so it'll be more difficult. I'm going to make the pipes face outward. Alright, so we have some things. Anomaly was analyzed, so they gave us a milestone. They gave us 250. And if we click on it,
to the barren environs of the red planet that meets the eye, a veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder, so long as you know where to look.
so now it unlocked these. So if I open the research screen, we have more stuff to research. Okay, more stuff to research. Right now we're still full, so we'll worry about that. I'm going to bring in, think about this water situation. Which way do I want it to go? Back out a little bit. I definitely don't want it to face this way like we talked about. I don't want those pipes to go that way. So most likely I'm going to make the pipes go out that way, because I'm probably going to be setting up domes. I'm definitely going to be setting up a dome over here because of that deposit for rare metals. So again, it doesn't have to be perfectly over it. Sometimes for water, and depending on where my drone hub is, I set it up directly over it. Sometimes I don't. I'm just going to click that and check I'm within the boundaries of this. So this, everything over here might get dusty, so I have to be careful with these panels. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to delete it a little bit. We're going to try that again and maybe just move it a little bit. Okay, and since I'm paused, it's not going to start building it, so I'm okay with that. I'm also going to click on it and turn the power off. And what that does is it tells the drones not to build it yet. So for me, I like to think. I'm an overthinker, so I'm going to be thinking about if that's what I want to do while the other stuff's getting done, because I'm not going to use this water right away, but I am going to think about that process. Like for example, if I hit V for pipes, what that will look like if a pipe is going this way to that way. So pipe going from here to there, or a pipe going from here to there. Most likely I'm going to do that. What I will do for now is just run power, so it gives me an idea of what that's going to look like. So I'm going to pause for a second because I have a fuel refinery that I want to put in there with a moisture vaporator. So I want to think about where I'm going to put that, and I'm just kind of doing my lines like this because I may put it on this side and see how that works. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually run some power and see what that looks like. See, it doesn't let me go there anymore, so this is my max. So, and I'm still paused, so it's gonna cover all this, which is fine. And then I'm gonna go to production, and I'm going to get my fuel refinery, and I'm going to place that. It requires pipes, it's going to require some stuff, so I'm going to put it here. I don't want it in the range of this to get dirty, I guess, so I'm going to put it there, and it's going to fuel that. So let's try this out. I'm going to turn the power off so I can get an idea of what, if I like it there. So I'm going to click on it, turn the power off. I'm still paused. Next, what I'm going to do is go to life support, and then this moisture vaporator. This moisture vaporator creates water. So instead of using the water from that thing, I'm going to use it from this. So I'm just going to put that right here. Okay, so dust will be here. This has its own range too, and it will pull water from this area. So I can't have another moisture vaporator in this area where it produces less water. But I can, move it somewhere else, put it somewhere else, which I will, and figure out what's next from there. So we're going to turn this off also. Turn off. Now, I don't have any more prefabs left, but if I click on this and I hit delete, okay, and we just play a little bit, I still have the moisture vaporator. That's why it's important for you to kind of turn it off first, because if you don't want it there, if you make a mistake by accident, it's gone once it's built, right? So I'm going to go back here. I want it there for now, and place that here and turn it off. Okay, and then I'm playing right now. It's playing, the drones are moving, it's doing its stuff. This is getting built, which is great. Then they'll get some power, because otherwise this can't work without power. And they're still almost fully unloaded this thing. It says refueling. I have no refuel, so it's 0. It says gathering exports. I have no exports yet. So I'm actually going to go turn that off. And how do I turn that off? I come up here to this menu. This is where you can tell the rocket to return to Earth. If you have Taurus, it tells you the Taurus. If it has an automated mode, this is where you can set that up to go back and forth somewhere. Allow or forbid exports. I'm going to forbid them for now. If we have an expedition on the list, which we'll talk about later, this is how we get to it, and this is the priority of it. If I want to lower the priority, if I want to raise the priority, I just click and go through that. And then I could also salvage this thing, which will give me 30 metals and 10 electronics, which is not good at all, because it takes like 200 metals to build this thing and like 50 electronics. So I don't know if that's perfectly right, but it's pretty close. Later on, once you start doing those things. All right, so the drones are working. They're laying down electricity here. So now basically what we're doing is waiting for some stuff to get built, specifically this, so it can power our concrete maker. And when the concrete maker's powered up, I'm going to throw some wind turbines. Okay. They're here, wind turbines. They require concrete. So I'm actually just going to place 2 of them now. So one there, one there. It'll build them once you get the resources. These run all day, all night. These panels only run during the day. So right now this won't work until I get some sunlight. That's why some people like to bring the Stirling generator right away, because that thing will have power and you'd be making concrete. But it's also 400 million, so I'm trying to be cautious with my money because we're not starting with a lot. So those are the things that you want to be aware of when things happen. Down here on the left is your pause menu, your play menu. I could speed up 3 times, I could speed up 5 times and go through there. Over here is how you change your radio station. It's also here where you save. So you can come to the main menu and you can save.